Yep.
Please stand for the pledge and a prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the prayer. O Lord God, we come before thee in prayer, acknowledging the blessing of government and administration. Thou art a God of order and hast blessed us with the establishment of governing officials to provide civil harmony and concord. Be with us in this meeting and give us strength and wisdom to pursue goals which please thee. Grant us the courage to support those things which are right and according to thy ordinances, what we ask in God's name. Amen. Now, if there's anybody else that has a prayer, this is the time to recite it. Thank you. Roll call.
Start with Heidemann.
Here.
Darga.
Yes.
Daily absent. Chapa.
Here.
Malini.
Here.
Approval of the agenda, any additions or deletions?
We do have two additions. The first was the Straits Regional Ride that I was able to send you in advance.
Yep.
Memorandum.
Memorandum, yeah.
Yep, and the second is a zoning administrator position.
So with those two additions, I move to accept as presented.
Support.
Motion support to adopt the agenda as amended. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Conflict disclosure, does anyone have a conflict with anything on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go on to the minutes of the meeting of October 10th, 2024.
So moved.
Chairman, I reviewed the minutes and I'd like to make a motion to adopt as presented.
Support.
Motion support to adopt the minutes of the meeting of October 10th, 2024. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Treasurer's report.
Hi, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
This is the summary report for September 2024. So we have taxes collected and spread as of September 2024 of $1,118,531.18. Year to date, $2,296,793.58. The total of general fund revenue for September of 2024 was $1,215,846.32, with a year to date of $2,572,246.50. The total of general fund expenditures for September of 2024 was $440,821.04, with a year to date of $1,712,155.62. So in the balance sheet, we had a change in fund equity of $860,090.88. And we have a general checking balance of $2,228,387.38. We didn't have anything abnormal in revenues or expenses again for this month. As far as my treasurer's report, I attended the MERS conference in Grand Rapids, October 9th through 11th. It was a very well attended conference and it offered a lot of informational sessions. So it's a great opportunity in the future for people to go and learn about our retirement program.
I agree, I've attended it too.
Yeah,
so
it's
a good one.
really
Informative.
it is if there's ever anyone that
Doubts the system, it's a good one to go to.
yeah, it is. One of the topics that was discussed, and it was considered the biggest challenge that employers are facing, is attracting and retaining employees. And it was talked about a lot at these sessions, and it was agreed upon that employers need to do a better job of explaining the retirement programs so that new and potential employees and current employees understand the value of what is offered to them. Because it isn't just your
Paycheck,
wage.
yeah.
It is, you gotta look for the future. You know, and it's everyone's desire for the employees here to have a successful employment and a successful retirement. Because, you know, that's the end goal, so. MERS offers many ways to help employees participate in their retirement plan, and I think they talked about a toolbox that was available. And so that's something new that they're offering, and it has a lot of handouts and stuff. So maybe we can start, I'll take a look at it, and when Anne Marie has time, we can talk about the different things.
Well, we're having regular personnel meetings. We could bring that to a personnel meeting.
Okay.
Announce
Because-
that,
Yeah,
you know.
because we have been struggling filling positions. Things have been staying open longer than,
We would like.
than they used to, and
That's
yeah.
everywhere.
yeah. But we do have something to offer more than just wages, so we should really look into communicating that a little bit better. As far as our office, we are gonna be posting properties the first week in November. It's the second year that we're gonna be using title check in this process. We still will be using local people to do the postings. 2 staff from my department, as well as some deputies, and I believe we're gonna have Mike Tuck help us out this year as well. I need to check with you on his workers' comp insurance does cover him away from the building, so he should qualify for that. We'll have about 200 notices that'll have to be personally served or posted. It's part of the forfeiture process established by the state statute, so. We use Title Check now, and they provide us with tablets that have everything uploaded, and it really makes it pretty simple to go out, and if you don't make personal contact with the person, then the picture is taken right on the device and everything's right there, and then it's just uploaded straight to Title Check. We're also gonna have our no minimum bid sale. I know I brought this up before, but it's November 1st. The auction is virtual. It runs from 10 to 5, and there's only 9 properties left available, and they're all the small parcels in Rogers Township. So there's nothing, you know, there's no buildings, there's no large plots of property, so we may end up still having these at the end of this auction. An update on the land bank. Linda Horak was here again this week from the state, and she traveled up here because she was on her way to a conference, so we went up to Metz and looked at their completed project.
Could you remind me what that project is? What building is it?
It is the former school, it was a school, then people did live in it, then it was a store. And it's right on 441.
Yeah, it's
That's next to the church.
it's before the church.
It's before.
Used to be the old schoolhouse. It used to be a elementary school.
The Lutheran
Is it right by
Yeah.
Louis Hobbs there?
It's right next door to Condell's store.
For the Catholic Church, so.
It's before the Catholic.
Oh, all right.
It's next to the Lutheran church.
Yeah, it's
For
right.
the Catholic
Yeah,
Church,
but-
there's 2
Yeah.
churches,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he's
Right
referring
on
to.
the
And they're
corner.
gonna turn that into their goal is to turn that into their township hall.
Right.
Mhm.
So this project
Hmm.
through the land bank was able to cover the roof. So now they have a pitched roof where they had a flat roof. They have a pitched roof, a new entrance, and it shored up some of the foundation work. So they're ready to get their paperwork in. The Huron State Bank Annex is complete and the reimbursement actually came through. And then McLean Pharmacy is ready to start next week on their roof project, which is the land bank part of the project. And then next year, I believe in the spring is when they'll do their MEDC project where
Main Street project.
where they're gonna have like apartments and more storefront. So, that should be completed in 2025. So that's where we're at with the land bank.
So that's township bought that building.
It was donated to them actually, because,
There's a brownfield part.
I don't know if that's brownfield.
Well, brownfields can be,
Didn't they have gas only?
just buildings that
No.
have old structure. It doesn't have to be, it's not toxic or anything, that's not the issue.
When you say Mike Tuck's gonna help, what's he gonna do, deliver notices?
yeah, he's gonna do some notices for us as well. And all this stuff gets done outside of regular work time. This is in addition, it's just outside of regular work time, but we have 4 tablets from title checks, so 4 people are gonna do theirs on like 3 days. They have 3 days to do them, and then the bulk of them will be done by the sheriff's department and on their off time as well. There's, they can schedule a day off, or they do it on their day off, and
How many notices you got to deliver?
there's there'll probably be 200 that get delivered, so. Some of them are vacant property where you have to measure, and either you can use a program on your phone that has the GPS on it, or they can use we have a measuring wheel if they're so inclined to do it the old fashioned way. So
How long have we been using title check?
this will be the 2nd year that we've been using them for this process. It's a contract that was entered into previously.
What's
So
the cost?
it's, I believe the monthly, it depends on the number. It's not just for this, but we do have a monthly cost of, I believe, $1,493. But that's for the forfeiture process, the whole forfeiture process. But we're in year 2 of a contract that was entered into, before,
2 years.
Before you,
it's a
before
5-year
Val.
contract, and we're in year 2. So,
5 years.
that's where we're at for now, so.
Motion to accept the treasurer's report filed.
Or
Stephen,
Yep.
Thanks, Al.
thank you. Yep. Any more discussion? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Citizens appearing before the board. Mr. Hamburg,
Yes.
good morning.
Several meetings ago, there were a couple of irate citizens in here complaining about, the B and Bs and wanting rules established and everything. And I believe the planning commission will be coming up with something. And then you will approve it or disapprove it. I did a little bit of investigating into this. And I noticed that across the country, it's very common for B and Bs to be required to either have the owner or the agent of the owner residing in the building when there are guests. And I think that's a great idea. It would cut down on the noise and all the disturbances. So I just wanted to bring that up. I believe, Mary Ann, you're on the planning.
Yeah, just a little comment or maybe explanation, I guess. A bed and breakfast is different totally from the short-term rentals.
Yeah.
The bed and breakfast is a use that's defined and allowed in certain areas within the county zoning. So it's kind of all set, and you are correct that it requires someone to be in residence. The issue that was brought up by the citizens that were here a couple meetings ago was the short-term rental matter,
Okay.
and then nobody's there. One discussion item is, should there at least be a local contact? Because that's what's required, I believe, in Presque Township. So when they renters start making a big mess at 2 a.m, fireworks and noise, there's someone to call.
Okay.
So under the zoning ordinance, there are 2 different categories, if you will, bed and breakfast, short-term rental. And
Is
the
it possible to have the same requirement for a short-term rental as far as someone being there? Because I think that's better than having just a contact.
You could.
Well, that would make it a B and B.
Yeah, well,
And that would mean you would disallow short-term rentals. And that gets you into a legal quagmire.
hmm,
Um,
You could.
because, the whole point is the planning commission is looking at this and they're working with, council, and we've worked with NEMCOG in the past. Just one statement that applies, you cannot prohibit a reasonably needed use. You can regulate it, but not prohibit it.
Well, that's what I have in
Yeah,
mind is a regulation. We might have to change the definition of what is what. But I think somebody on site is a good idea.
it certainly would tend to keep things under
You can
control.
require plan commission could require a contact person, couldn't it?
Well, right now, they're unregulated, period.
I know, but you.
But that's right. The discussion is requiring a contact person, but that wouldn't necessarily be a contact person in the property or on the property.
Yeah.
But I think in Presque Township, they say, within 30 miles or something. So that there is somebody that you can buttonhole and say, hey, take care of this. Which is, that would be great, because it's not right to put that control burden on the county, or the sheriff's department or anything else. And so thank you, John, for the comment. And that is, the crux of the matter. Nobody's there to, take care of the matter.
Right?
Yeah.
I just have a spelling of his last name. Spelling of the last name.
Amber, HAMB.
Yes, correct.
And it has been, they made a committee at the planning commission who's, gonna look at redrafting and possibly strengthening the draft conditions, and as you know, it has to come back here for approval.
Yes.
So it's not gonna happen tomorrow, but it's in the works, if you will.
Okay,
But I'll certainly communicate your comments.
thank you.
And Presque Township's ordinance has been in effect, I think, for a couple of years now, and it seems to be working pretty well. A lot less complaints. And it has somebody, as you mentioned, has somebody that
Have to have a
nearby,
local-
that they have to have an agent, and the
Agent,
there's
there you
a
go.
registration fee and inspection and stuff, so. I think it's a good model for us too, so.
That's the very least they could do.
Pardon?
That's the very least they could do is provide a contact person.
And on that note, I did a couple last year, did some cooking at a couple Airbnbs, and both had contact immediately if they had a problem. Worked out, and this is right there by Grand Lake, so I don't.
The nice
I
thing
think, I
is,
think sometimes the
even
owners.
for the renter, if something goes wrong,
Yeah.
the renter has
Well,
somebody
yeah,
to
right,
contact.
Yeah,
'Cause
and that's-
If the owners
And
in
that's what
California.
that's.
Where's the shut off valve for the water,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
owners in California
Exactly.
never saw the
I
place.
can't
Right.
believe somebody would even do that without one.
Yeah, right.
Gee, the fuse
Just
blew,
to
where's the
protect your
fuse
own
box? I mean,
investment.
I think the biggest problem we got is the ones that own the Airbnbs here that are out of state.
Right,
That's the problem we got. The people that we got in our county here that have them know the rules and regulations, and they are pretty good at it. I mean, they're responding to it
Mm.
well, but it's the people that live in California that own something here, or maybe Florida, wherever they live, they don't care.
You think
And they don't even have contact.
You think they'd
Yeah,
have to
what
have
could they
somebody
do from
running it though?
California?
Yeah, but they can't do anything.
They'd have to
Especially
have
without
someone
an agent.
running
Right.
it.
They should, but we have to make a
All over the
restriction
internet or
that they're
something.
gonna have somebody local here that they can call on. to Fix the problem, correct?
well, we need to keep this conversation going until we solve some things, so,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
Anyone
Dan.
else? Okay. On to new business. The audit review,
Hi,
good
everyone.
morning,
Good morning. How are you today?
good.
Good. I think I've presented to most of you before, but I'm Christy Schulze and I represent the firm of Schulze, Oswald, Miller and Edwards. And it's a privilege to work up here again this year. Thank you very much for having us. And thanks to Anne Marie and Val and their respective offices for the audit going incredibly smoothly this year. I'm here a month earlier than I usually am, so that's a tribute to how smooth the audit went.
Great.
So, that and I'm gonna be on vacation during your November meeting. Both things. But anyway, I'll kind of get moving with it here as to not take up your whole day. If you want to take a peek at page 1, you can see that you have, let's see, an unqualified audit opinion, which means a clean opinion, which is what you want. In the second paragraph, you can see that there. We did propose some journal entries. We had 22 journal entries this year. The adjustments were all routine in nature. None were material in amount, and all of them were reviewed and agreed upon with the clerk and treasurer prior to us leaving on our last day of field work. And I believe they're already posted to the county's general ledger. So as of June 30th, your records and our records agree flawlessly. So that's good news. Moving on to the management discussion and analysis that you can see beginning right after the audit report. Pages 4 through 10 is where you can see this MD&A. This is a narrative of the activity of the county for the fiscal year. So while your financial statements in the main section of the report do not show comparatives with the prior year, if you're a person that finds comparative information handy or useful, this is where you can find comparatives. Particularly pages 6 and 8 might be of use to you if you like comparative information. This is where you can compare the net position of this year to last year and the change in net position from this year to last year. So they're very summarized, but they're meant to kind of be an at a glance comparison. And they're written basically in the way that the government tells us we have to write them. we don't get a lot of flexibility on this. But with that said, let's see, they're very summarized. They're easier to digest than the multi-page spreadsheet. So hopefully you'll find them useful. And there's some narratives that describe the flow of information between the two types of financial statements that are presented here, the fund financials and the government-wide. Also, readers will find some financial highlights from the year and budgetary references, capital asset information compared to the prior year, your long-term debt balances, which basically for you guys is just your pension, and contact information for management. So if you want to flip through that MD&A, we won't spend a ton of time on it. We'll get to the actual numbers. On page 11, you'll see the statement of net position. And so this report contains long-term debt and long-lived assets. It's basically like a business's a business type entity's balance sheet where you're going to see your assets, your liabilities, and your equity, so to speak, but in government form. This is a good place to talk about pension liabilities because that's kind of maybe the biggest deal on this page. You'll see the net pension liability about 2/3 of the way down the page, $6.2 million. I'll kind of just describe a little bit about this and then we'll talk more about it when we get to the footnotes. Deferred inflows of information or resources and deferred outflows you'll see on this page, and they're related to pensions. All of that information is, and there's certain changes in total pension liability that are being recognized in a future pension expense. So when Julia, my business partner, does this part of the audit, and so I'm basically telling you what she says for me to tell you. It's kind of her area of expertise, as is the MERS. I'm sure that you and her have extensive MERS conversations. So it's Julia's area, but I have some information to talk further about it when we get to page 44 in the notes. But let's see. For this year, the pension liability decreased by $300,000. So that's probably a matter of importance to you guys. It's always going to be there. The liability is never going to go away, but through different means of either paying it down or through market gains or whatever, we're hoping to see a decrease each year. So moving on to page 12, this is the statement of activities, and it basically shows the change in net position. The expenses within this statement include depreciation expense, which you're not going to see those in the fund financials, and which for the governmental activities was $141,000 of depreciation this year. For the business type, it was $26,000, and that's basically because of the airport. Most of the other business type activities are tax collection, but the airport is in there, so that's why there's some depreciation. Let's see. The net increase for the overall government and the government-wide financials was just over $1 million under this method of accounting, and that's both business type and government and proprietary type combined. A contributing reason for this increase, and basically this page has a ton to do with market conditions because of the pension liability. So the biggest reason I can see for the $1 million increase is that the pension investment money had gains this year. It was a good market year. So, and I think we saw the flip side in the past. So I've come in here and this has been a huge negative, and I've been like, you didn't do anything wrong. There were market losses. So in this instance, there were market gains. So when we get to that pension note, we can look at it in a little bit more detail, but keep in mind that this is done according to the state's actuarial reporting year, which is December 31st. So there is always like going to be a 6-month lag between, like, if in a future year, if I'm here talking about market gains and you're like, but it just crashed 2 months ago, like there's a 6-month lag time here between their year end and yours. the total pension expense for the county for the year was $872,000. So I spend a lot of time talking about pensions, not because it's my favorite area or even my area of the audit, but because it's so significant to the county. So pages 13 and 15 are going to be your fund financial statements. And the pages, even page numbers in between are going to be their reconciliations between the two types of accounting. So when we do those reconciliation pages, that's what tells us we did everything correctly, is if they balance. So that's kind of the goal there. Again, that's Julia's problem when we do the audit. But so let's see, this is the financial resources measurement focus. This is how you budget. So the point of these statements is to focus on what's available for the next 12 months. There's not long-lived assets. There's not long-term debt in these statements. It's a 12-month measurement focus. And it's how you budget. So it likely makes more sense to you when you're looking at these numbers. And it's the same reports that Val and Anne Marie would produce to fund financials. Something to note here is you have $1.8 million of ARPA money that was still hanging out there and unearned as of June 30th of 2024. So it's unearned, meaning that you have it in the bank, but you haven't spent it yet. So in order to earn a grant, you have to spend it. So it's a liability right now, and then once it's spent, it becomes not a liability anymore in federal revenue. So that revenue is recognized in the period in which you spend it. So I recommend, and I think we talked about this when I was here auditing, but I recommend having that at least earmarked by December 31st, 2024. And then it's basically doesn't have.
That's
to
a
be
federal
dispersed.
requirement.
Yes.
It's not a
Yeah,
recommendation.
no, I mean, I'm saying like, I recommend that soft speak for you have to. So, but yes, that's when they say you have to have it earmarked. And then basically you have until December 31st of 2026 to actually disperse it. So for example, if you were to order police cars, but they can't possibly be delivered by December 31st of 24, especially like right now, for example, ambulances and fire trucks are in that, like you can order them now and you won't see them for 2 years. So you have until 2026 to disperse it, but really do need to have it earmarked by the end of this year. So.
It's really already earmarked
Oh.
for like fixing this building. So
Awesome. Okay, just something I wanted to throw out there, and I believe
Yeah.
that's what the ladies told me
Yeah.
when we were here auditing, but just for me to communicate those same thoughts
Yeah.
to you that I did to them. So. Okay, also just to note, and I'm sure you're already aware of this, but if more than 750,000 of that money is spent in a given year, there's an additional procedure they need to do at audit time. It's called an agreed upon procedure. It's not a full-fledged single audit. They did give a step down procedure for this, but there is additional steps to account for it if more than 750 is spent in one single fiscal year. So, and I think with the amount you have left, I think that will happen next year. With that said, the cost of that additional procedure is also considered an ARPA expense. So it can be, that money can be used to pay for the additional procedure.
And you could do it.
Yeah, certainly. Yep, we've done lots of them.
Sure.
So, page 15 is probably going to be the most useful statement to you as a board. It's the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. One thing to note here that's new this year, you'll see the column for senior citizens that doesn't have anything in it. The reason for that is because we had to implement what's called GASB 100 this year, and it's having to do with major and non-major funds. So every year when we do the audit, there's a calculation of what's considered a major fund and presented in the front of the report here versus the non-major funds that are seen all in one summary column here, but are detailed out in the back. So you have a lot of non-major funds. It's a calculation, it's the 10% thing. So with that being said, GASB 100 now makes us do this thing where if there's a change between non-major and major funds, which there is almost every year with something, then we have to show that column here so that you're aware that last year this was a major fund and now it's been changed to a non-major. So there's quite often from here forward going to be a blank column. And it's not incredibly useful to us, and I think it's confusing for you, but we just have to follow the rules. So that column for the senior citizens indicates that that's no longer there. You'll see it in the back this year, and it's just a change of accounting principle that we had to implement. So this page shows a summary of revenues and expenditures of the governmental funds coming down to a net increase across all governmental funds of $325,000, leaving a positive fund balance of $2,956,000 across all government funds. The general fund itself had a positive change in fund balance of just shy of $146,000 and an ending fund balance of $1,483,000. When considering fund balance as a percent, the county ended the year with a 23.3% fund balance. So that's just in the general fund, mind you. This means that the fund balance was 23.3% of expenditures for the year. Another way to look at it is that the county's general fund has almost 3 months of reserve. So if all incoming money stopped, you could operate for a solid 3 months. So for comparative sake, I typically do this thing where I look at surrounding counties, which isn't always fair because some surrounding counties are sometimes a lot larger, a lot different demographic and everything, but I throw it in there because it's a good talking point. If you're at 23.3, which I think is a solid fund balance, don't get me wrong. Alpena is 31%, Montmorency is 48%. Sheboygan is kind of a rich county, 96%. Osceola,
96%?
yeah, the Sheboygan, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So
has
and
that
it's,
been a
it's,
case
they've
for a
always,
while?
yeah, they've been that way for a
Really?
while. And it doesn't necessarily, like, I want to just be clear, it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean wonderful things. It just means that they chose to squirrel away more money. I mean, and.
Well, and they don't
They're still
necessarily have to
doing a lot.
borrow, that's the
Yeah.
They're
point.
still
Yeah.
doing a lot.
So you can do, I mean, governments are meant to save, spend, spend. It's, you know, if you have a big loss one year in your fund financials, it just probably meant that you did a ton of capital outlay or you kind of return benefits to the citizens. So 23% is not bad. I mean, Roscommon is 15%. So that, I would say that's a little shy. Crawford is 29% and Elkhorn is 28%. So you're right in the ballpark there. School districts, for example, must be at least 10%, or the government or the state says, we're gonna kind of come in and take a look at how you're budgeting your money and we're gonna help you out here. You don't want that to happen. So you kind of rather keep the budgeting at this level rather than having the state step in. So 23%, you're pretty solid. I mean, you're not the richest county, but you're also returning benefits to the citizens, and that's an important goal. I think in the past, when you've had a reserve, it's been used to pay the pension down, which is also a good thing. So, you know, we don't necessarily know just from looking at this fund balance percent what their pension liability is. Maybe they're not making any progress toward that. So these numbers alone are not indicative of how well they're run. It's just basically for comparative sake for you to know. So-
We're 23.
Yep.
And you said Alpena is 31.
Alpena is 31, but like Alcona is 28. I mean, like you're not in bad shape. I'm not trying to say that at all.
Yeah.
So it just might mean that you chose to do different things with your resources than those counties did. So pages 17 through 19 report on the financial activities of the proprietary funds. So these are mostly tax collection funds, but the airport is in there also, as I previously mentioned. The overall increase here across all proprietary funds is $216,000 for the year. So pages 20 and 21 are the fiduciary accounts. This means the county is the trustee for funds that are held for others. So the examples of things that run through the fiduciaries are things like payroll liabilities and benefit deductions. So you're just holding the money temporarily and then you're going to disperse it on behalf of someone else. Pages 22 and 23 report on the county's component units, and that is the road commission and the EDC. The road commission is audited by other auditors, of which we rely on their audit for our information. The EDC is not audited by us or any other firm. That's just information we get straight from their bookkeeper. And pages 24 through 50 are the notes to the financial statements. And these are required disclosures. They're very lengthy. They provide a lot of drill down material though, if there's a particular item that you want to find out more information on. I mean, when we're looking at reports of other auditors, the notes is where we go if we can't see something very clearly from the numbers themselves. So I'll draw your attention to a few pages. The first one would be page 44, that dreaded pension footnote we talked about. So here, top part of the top half of the page is basically showing the change in your pension liability. So you have the liability itself, which is 16 million. Then you have the money that's in your plan, which is 10 million. So the net pension liability started out being 6.5 million. And you can see on the far right column, various changes to that through the year. So the
What page
interest-
are you on again?
44.
Yep.
Okay, you skipped way ahead.
Yep.
All
We
right.
kind of went through a bunch of the notes that were boilerplate. So basically, the interest on the total pension liability that you earned, or excuse me, that the liability had was 1.1 million. That's what the interest that you were charged. But on the same token, the net investment income of the money you had in the plan was 1.1 million. So they kind of wiped each other out. And that's how your pension expense ended up being lower for the year. There's other various things too, like employer contributions and employee contributions and so on, and the service cost of the plan. But sometimes the interest charged on the liability is significantly higher than the interest earned from your money in it. So that's what made it a good year for the pension. Let's see, page 47 would be the next page I would draw your attention to. And this is, you can find the detail of the restricted or assigned fund balances. So you as a board can assign or commit fund balances for possible future needs. Restriction can only happen as a result of an outside legal force. So for example, the 911 funds money is restricted. You can only use that for 911. Likewise, this school resource officer money, that's a millage that's restricted legally, so you can only use it for that. But any of the other assignments or commitments are things that you've done as a board. For example, let me find one here. The housing, for example, $113,000 is assigned for housing. And it's just when you're looking through the different fund balances, you'll see them on different lines. And so we just provide a quick little breakdown here of what's assigned and committed and restricted. So the next area to draw your attention to would be page 51 through 53. And these are your budget versus actual comparisons. No issues here. Great job budgeting. Everything was within budget. So you did not overspend. That's awesome. The rest of the bound report are the combining statements. So it's going to be a combination of all the non-major funds, which are detailed out and summarized in the columns that we've already examined. So if you have the opportunity to look at these pages beginning on page 50, well, 54, but then they go on for several pages because there's a lot of non-major funds. If you have any questions on these, let me know, but we probably won't spend a lot of time on the smaller funds. One observation that we have, and I think we've mentioned this in the past, and we're slowly working toward it, is we urge the county to minimize the number of funds that you have to the legally required amount. So you're legally required to have a separate fund for the general fund, and then each item or each fund that has a restriction, like the school resource officer and everything that's got a millage, you're legally required to have that number of funds. But all of these in the back potentially could be, not all of them, but most of them could be rolled into the general fund at some point, and then just assign that fund balance so it doesn't get lost in the mix. And then we feel it would be a lot easier of a report to digest for you and for other readers, and just kind of minimize the number of funds for the ladies doing the work with the accounting. So it's just a thought, and we've talked about it, and I think we make a little bit of headway each year, but it's a difficult thing to do all.
It's harder to track the money.
Yeah.
Well, we've closed out in the last, what, 12 years,
Quite a few.
quite a few,
Yes.
just those
Yeah.
little ones,
Yeah.
but then one pops back up where we get a new one, like Swift Insure
Swift
or
Insure is a good.
MIDC or.
There's just
ARPA.
quite often in a lot of these funds, very little or no activity for the year, and they're just still a separate column on here. So while they're not hurting anything for us, it's more for your sake, just to kind of make it easier to read through your financial statements. Let's see. Lastly, we'll just take a look at the letters in the back. There are two of them. The communication with those charged with governance at the conclusion of the audit. So you would have received a letter from us when we started the audit indicating this is what we're going to do and this is when we're going to do it. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And then this is our communication at the end of the audit. This is what we did and this is how it went. There's nothing really to note here, which is great. If we had any problems, this is where we tell you about it. If we had problems communicating with management, if we had a problem getting management to agree with the journal entry or whatever, this is where we tell you about it, but no such problems existed. So lastly, there's the report on internal controls that you'll find the standard comment that we always have in that you don't prepare this report yourself and give it to us to audit. Instead, you outsource the preparation of this report to us. Everyone has that comment. It's not a big deal. But the one thing I really want to brag about is the jail commissary issue has been resolved and it was a breeze this year. Yay. So I don't know if it was Val or Bridget, but thank you. A combination.
Well, no, it was last year, remember when you met here?
Yes, you and Sandra, yes,
Yes,
okay,
Sandra.
yeah, okay.
And so then I followed Sandra's
Awesome.
advice and that all worked out.
So yeah, it was quite wonderful, because usually that's our biggest holdup, and it's one of the reasons that we're maybe not here till November sometimes, is because of the tiny little jail commissary, but it's been resolved. So in closing, I'd just like to thank the county for your patronage and your trust in us. And if you have any questions, either shoot away right now or feel free to email or call me. I will be in the office all day and all of next week except Wednesday.
And unfunded pension liability, how does that compare with the other counties in the area?
I see that you guys seem to make more progress on it than some of our other smaller entities. You've made significant payments on it in the past where other entities have tended to just ignore it. So I mean, it's not something that prior to, when was that? Maybe 2016, you wouldn't even know that number. But in 2016 or 17, I can't remember exactly what year, GASB 68 happened, and then it was mandated that it be put on here for full disclosure. So it was one of those things that in the past, it was just, everyone knew it was there and no one cared, and now it's become a bigger deal for people to pay attention to because it is such a large liability. But it's not, you're not out of the ballpark with it.
But also we're working for the future to move from defined benefits to defined contribution plan, which would bring down that.
Kind of like the bills
Liability.
did.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not anything, granted, I'm not involved in that area of the audit, but just from doing these presentations and talking with Julia, our benefit specialist, she certainly doesn't freak out about yours. I've seen her freak out, but not about yours.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Right.
So is there anything I can help answer or entertain any questions?
Make a motion to accept the report.
Support.
Very
I
nice.
think,
Thank you very much, you guys.
Good presentation.
Oh,
Thank you.
I try not to talk too fast. I know it's a thing I do, but also it gets you out of here a little sooner, so. I will scoot on out if everyone is
Okay.
content then. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the audit review. Motion support, and we need more discussion. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. MSU annual report. Good morning.
Good
How are you?
morning, everybody.
Hi, Adam.
Thanks for having us back. And this year, we're gonna start off by having each of the staff members do a update for you, and then I'll wrap up at the end. It can take questions, and I have a couple of ag things that I also want to talk to you about as well. So we'll start off with Wendy Martin to kind of give us an overview.
Hey, Wendy.
Good morning. As you know, I've been the office manager there for about 2.5 years now. And what the statistics I have here are just from the last year, just so you know. My duties over there, reading people, collecting dues, signing up kids online, giving away suckers to sugary little children that like them. Selling plat books, soil kits, manuals, guides, things like that. Last year we sold, well, our plat book came out last year in 2023, so we sold about 250 copies of it last year. And this year we still sold over 200, so it's still selling well. I think in the future it may decrease because everything's kind of online for hunting and things like that now, but we'll kind of see as we go. Last year we sold about 40 commercial soil kits, which is for deer fields, farmers fields. And this year we sold 51, which is up over 10. And we also sell quite a few of the additional like magnesium zinc tests to certain farmers that like that too. Sold 17 residential kits this year, a couple of weed guides, things like that. And answers to questions. Lots of bugs, lots of weeds, lots of trees, lots of grass, things like that. Some bug questions, but there was a ton of weed questions this year. Just people bringing in Google, picture on my Google helps a lot. Then I can look it up, get them the information. And if I don't know, if I can't find it out, I take it to ask the experts. And then they're in direct contact with them. Just 2 days ago, this gentleman came in, he said, I know this is not the certain thing that I was told it is. Well, to me, it smelled like a cucumber or something. But so I said, well, let's see if we can find it. Him and his wife came in, we found it. It was not what they said it was supposed to be. It was actually a geranium of some sort, leaf, and very bitter. Deer won't touch it. So now he's got a whole field of this geranium leaf. But it was so funny when his wife looked right at him and goes, they were leaving, she goes, see, I told you we had to come in here. I told you they could help. You know, they're so cute, you know? And also. we
You do
have-
marriage counseling
I
too.
guess some days, I'm not even gonna lie. And Jacob in the Conservation District has been a godsend to us. Because all I gotta do is say, oh, you got a question about a tree, why don't you check with Jacob first, because he is so knowledgeable about those kind of things. And I probably sent over here quite a few too, and I like to do that because people want their questions answered now. They wanna know, why does this look like this? Is it dying? What should I do? And he's able to do that with certain things. So I do refer quite a bit to him if he's able to. And if he's not, he'll say, nope, go on back to Wendy, she'll send it in, so then we just go from that way, so. I do a lot of social media, we have over 1,100 followers on our Facebook page now, which is really good for a MSU Facebook page. We are, on there, we usually tell people about the great quality of classes in person, online, because it's just so much more that people have no idea what is on there, anything from health and wellness to agriculture, you name it. Help whenever I'm needed. They had a field thing in Hillman this year, and Kelly and I, between the two of us, got over 500 mailings out in less than a day. Because it was happening quickly, and we're like, okay, let's do this, and we got all these mailings out, and it really helped because it turned out really well over there too. We just came back from our conference, our FEC conference last week. We were gone most of the week. A lot of good information and stuff there too. And lately we've had our conference room. They use it for Friends of the Akiak Outdoor Center. The health department's used it many times, building and zoning, clubs, things like that. And I just make sure it's prepared for the next person that comes in and cleaned up and things like that too. But, still helping building and zoning as much as humanly possible, doing some scanning, inputting of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing permits. And that's kind of what takes up a lot of my
Well,
time.
plus all handling the reservations for the.
Oh,
outdoors.
yeah, the Akiak Outdoor Center, yeah, I didn't even put that one on here. We've had quite a few last year. There went up from the year before. We got a couple more groups that are coming back for week-long stays, which is wonderful. So yeah, we and some of our 4-H coordinators have been using that out there also. But it's been really good, a lot of improvements out there. But that's all I have. I just want to thank you guys for everything you do for us. We do not take it for granted. We know the support we get is wonderful, and we kind of brag about it wherever we go. So just wanted you guys to know that. And next up, we have our health and nutrition instructor. Community nutritionist. I knew I'd get that wrong. Instructor, Marilyn Ellenberger.
So what Wendy was trying to say was the community nutrition instructor from the Health and Nutrition
Institute. Yeah, there we go.
So it kind of gets mushed up. So basically my job is to do community nutrition education and physical activity education. My program is 100% SNAP Ed funded, so through the SNAP Ed grants, and I do cover both Sheboygan and Presque counties. The last time I talked to you all, I was actually housed in the Sheboygan office. This time I am in the Rogers City office, so I'm right across the street with Wendy and Kelly all the time. And you have a wonderful sink, I must tell you. It's very important when you're doing nutrition classes to have access to a sink, so that was actually one of the reasons that I moved over. So I love the conference room. It's really, really handy. Does everybody know what SNAP Ed is?
Well, food stamps.
Yeah, it's basically the updated version of what the food stamp program is. So it's the supplemental nutrition education program. So the nutrition and physical activity education. Its goal is to work with what we would call, for lack of a better term, those who might need that supplemental, income or nutrition, perhaps a little bit lower income individual. Yeah, honestly, in this part of the state, most people do qualify in one way or another. So even though that is what our goal is, everyone is welcome for our programs as long as that 50% is eligible. So for example, when I do programming, say out at the senior center in Posen at the Council on Aging, we may have a few individuals who are a little higher income that come, but we have a few individuals who are a little lower income also. So everyone is still welcome to participate and they are open to everyone. I've been with Extension for 2 years now, which is really fun. This is just, what is this, the 25th? So it's actually my 2-year anniversary was just a couple days ago. Been up here my whole life. I've born and raised in Onaway. Beside the point, I digress. So this past year, our fiscal year, I worked with 976 participants. Now that is divided between the 2 counties, but I have a 50-50 split. So you can basically divide that in half and that will tell you what I was in Presque County. I will say my adult numbers in Presque County were a little bit higher than my youth numbers last year, as compared to Sheboygan. However, I did pick up working with Roger City Elementary recently, so you will see next year that those numbers are adjusted. My programming includes direct education sessions, which might be presentations or cooking classes. One of my more popular classes is the Cooking for One series for adults, which basically teaches smaller portion sizes, right? So if anyone has ever experienced that empty nest syndrome, or perhaps you're just cooking for 1 or 2 people versus a large family, it's hard to cook for 1 or 2 people, right? If you make a pot of soup, it grows. So that class really focuses on smaller portion. For youth, the Teen Cuisine series is very popular, which is it's a basic nutrition education and cooking class for high schoolers. So that's actually like 8th grade on up. Usually it's like a 9th, 10th grade. One of my favorites last year, one of my 9th graders over in Onaway, the very last class, he was making fajitas. We always save that for the last. We do fajitas and homemade salsa. And he just got this big smile on his face. I've cooked more here than I have in my entire life. And it was the most fun thing. So if you've all ever been in a room in this particular class, there was a lot of athletes in the room and they're making their fajitas. And all of a sudden they broke out in song together. And you know, You Are My Sunshine. So they're just like singing You Are My Sunshine, making fajitas. And it was actually very, very cute. I wish I would have recorded it. But besides the direct education, I do indirect. So as far as providing written materials and flyers, as well as we call it a PSE, which is a Policy Systems and Environment Change, which is basically a coaching opportunity. So the idea with that is that the organizations are looking to improve in one way, and I would be a coach and a resource for that. A great example of that would be out at the Council on Aging in Posen. We are working on developing a community garden. So the garden would be on site for the kitchen to use in the meals, as well as for people to come and take items that they might need. And the idea with that also is that it might grow and maybe the rest of the community would come. Maybe some kids from the school will come volunteer. So that's an example of that. Our highlights for Presque County, I would say the couple of big ones for the year, we had SNAP Ed mini grants available last year. They will be available this year also. So the mini grants were awarded to supplement SNAP Ed programming, right, for a policy system and environment change. That's actually how we got the community garden going in Posen. So they were awarded, it was about $1,500. And we got all of the materials out there. We partnered with a local farmers exchange to bring in the big totes of dairy dew and to had it delivered. Also the library, this one was a really cool one. So I'm going to count on you all to help me get the word out about this. So I worked with Ann Bellinger to get physical activity and fitness equipment through the SNAP Ed mini grant into the library. And this was Ann's brainchild. She came up with this idea. The equipment is at the library, it's housed there. It is available to use in the library or to check out. So that was her thought. She saw the need for that in the area since we really don't have.
What kind of equipment is it?
So we have, there's balance boards, there are free weights, there are exercise bands, ping pong tables. What else are there? Balls, so like basketballs, I believe. A smaller hoop, so like if you had like a toddler size hoop,
So somebody might check it out to
Yeah.
use it to see if they want to get their own or something.
they could do that.
Uh-huh.
Or if they wanted just to use it. I know some of the things, we didn't get recumbent bikes per se, because bikes are. There's different grants for bikes, so there's red tape for that, but we did get, like an under the desk elliptical, like you would use in your
Mhm.
seat. And the idea with that is someone could take it and read while they're moving. So we have some of that stuff. If you want, I can get you the specific list, because it's been a while since I wrote it all out, but there's some really, really cool stuff over there. And again, that was right about $1,500. So those grants are available again this year, so I'm hoping we're gonna get some more back into the community. Worked out really nice. I had 2 grants here and I had 2 grants in Sheboygan, so again, I try and balance everything. It's a little tricky sometimes.
So is that equipment just in Roger City?
What's that?
Is that equipment just in Roger
The
City?
equipment is housed in Roger City. I believe the plan is, if I'm remembering correctly, the plan was to expand it to the different branches at some point. And that could be
You can get it
something-
through interlibrary loan.
Yeah, you could do that. The other thing might be if the other branches wanted to do their own grants, we could do that also. Because again, those funds are available starting today. This is the first day of the new grant season. The other really cool thing that I did was partnering with My Michigan for the Prescription for Health grant. And this was a new thing for me. I had never heard of it before. But what they do is they provide vouchers for fresh fruits and vegetables. So I provide the education, they provide the vouchers. So we had, I think 6 participants that went through the Cooking for One series, and we housed them right at the library. They've been awesome to work with for using their conference rooms. But these 6 participants, once they completed that 6-week series, they got $100 worth of vegetables. Well, not vegetables, excuse me, vouchers for fresh fruits and vegetables. So that was a really cool program also. But those were, like I said, besides just doing my regular classes, those were the really cool highlights that I had. Anybody have thoughts?
Thank
So
you.
where's the community garden?
The community garden at Posen is actually in the garage right now. It's not set up yet.
Oh,
We got
it.
it, yeah.
Go by there and I didn't. see
No,
anything.
we got everything delivered and it was right at the end of the season where I talked with Christine and she said, let's get it set up first thing in the spring. So we don't have to plow around it. I believe the plan is either to put it off the side of the garage because there's a water source there. Or to put it, where how the driveway goes around. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Or to put it in that little circular area. So I'm pretty sure we're going to poll the people that come to the senior center and ask them where they would like it. But there's 3 4x4 raised beds that come about yay high. And then there are 2 2x4 raised beds that are on wheels that you can pick up and move around. So we have a couple of different heights. So they got those, they got all the dairy due dirt, actually from Ellsworth Farmers Exchange. And then bunch of ergonomic tools. So it's gonna be really cool. Anything else?
So all your programs are funded through grants from SNAP?
Yep, I am 100% SNAP funded. And everybody that completes the programs, we have freebies, basically, they call it NEAR-I, but it is a nutrition, education, reinforcement implement. So we call it NEAR-I, but it's basically a freebie. So if you would come to one of my classes, you will get, say, maybe a vegetable scrubber or a water bottle or a cookbook, something like that, that everybody gets something. So, and it always goes along with what the class is teaching.
So it all comes through the USDA
Yes.
snaps. USDA budget's like 70% SNAP.
Yeah, so-
USDA's is 70%.
So is your grant an annual?
Yes. Yep, so every year we are, and I believe SNAP was in 1994, it turned into SNAP, so they've kept that grant through
And
that.
it's the same amount every year, or do they
As,
give you a certain percentage higher every year?
as far as I know, it's the same, I can check on that for you though. Yeah, but it's a cool.
Well,
cool
yeah,
program.
must be good because, I mean, it's enough for you to work with, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and there are, I believe, 130 community nutrition
Wow.
instructors in the state. We cover all the counties. Some of us have more than one county, but
Correct.
we're all throughout the state, so.
Most of that USDA money goes to foods and nutrition.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Very good. Thank you.
I'm gonna give you to Kelly. This is our 4-H program coordinator. Good
Can
morning.
help you cook too,
Yeah.
right, Kelly?
Yeah, still do that sometimes
Yeah.
in the background. Well, good morning. It's nice to see everybody. I feel that I can confidently say we had a very enriching 4-H program this year. Starting in January, we created a hiking club that featured hikes at Herman Vogler, Akiak Falls, Thompson Harbor. 5 different hikes, and we are starting another series next week, November 7th, actually. So it was really exciting. Archery is still going strong with over 50 youth enrolled between the 2 clubs at Black Lake and Rogers City. And that is also starting next week. It's going to be a very busy November, which I'm looking forward to. We had 3 babysitting clinics this year in Rogers City, Onaway, and Posen. So we had a total of 30 Presque County youth become certified in babysitting, CPR, and first aid, which I think is really exciting and awesome and a valuable tool to have. And we also in November are having another one in Onaway.
So these are at the schools?
Yeah, well, depending. The Rogers City one we have at the library, wherever I can find space is just kind of where we put them in. We have a youth and child development specialist named Katie Parr. She's based out of Sheboygan, but she helps to facilitate these programs and she just does an excellent job. Partnering with Maryland, we did a 1 Step to Wellness program that was at the library as well, focusing on health and nutrition from Maryland. And then from me, it was stress management, coping skills, and mindfulness. It was a very small program, but I'm proud of the content that the kids learned from this. And I hope to see that program grow. It was 6 weeks long. Thanks to a volunteer stepping up, Sean Birch, we had a yoga special interest club in February just to try to offer something a little bit different for our young community members. That was for 8 to 12-year-olds. It's a whole lot of fun, and there's some fun
I saw
of
some
that in the-
pictures.
Yeah.
Pretty
Good
cool.
picture.
So that was really neat as well. The embryology program continues to be very fruitful. I taught in 2 7th grade classes at Rogers City area schools. And then I also provided education at the Millersburg, Rogers City, and Onaway libraries. And so we had a total reach of 186 people for embryology alone. And lots of chicken. We sent 3 youth to 4-H exploration days in East Lansing this year to explore the MSU campus as they plan for their futures in the career fields. We had great responses from those youth. We had an excellent time. 4-county camp held at the Akiak Outdoor Center was a whole lot of fun this year. We filled up right away as we do every year. We had some really outstanding instructors. This time around, we had cultural cooking, we had forestry, kayaking, archery, the whole 9 yards. I've tried to really spread the word about the Akiak Outdoor Center and the great facilities that are there. So Sheboygan took advantage of that this year. I believe she had 3 or 4 different day camps out there. And I hope to use that for my hiking club as well, to have a little orienteering
Kelly,
lesson.
what age group is the hiking club?
The hiking club is 8 to 19-year-olds. We want all ages to come, if they can make it, the trudging through the snow. Our summer recreation program continues to grow and flourish, and we really appreciate the funds that we receive for that. We are really focusing not only on the outdoor education or recreation part of it, but also incorporating weekly curriculum as well. I did an earth science curriculum this year, really hands-on experiments with the kids. And we also did a kind of healthy living series each week as well. I assisted with the Great Lakes Natural Resources Camp this year that is held at Camp Chickagami in Presque. And my first time doing it, I was completely blown away by the opportunities that are offered for 13 to 15-year-olds at this camp. But I did notice that we only had 2 students from Presque there. So I'm definitely going to be pushing that really hard this year in our county for any youth that's looking to explore careers in natural resources. A great thing to go to. We have developed a very meaningful partnership with the Conservation District. Forester Jacob has contributed to our hiking club, to 4 County Camp. We did a tree planting event where we planted over 90 trees at Herman Vogler. And he plans to host a 4-H conservation club for teenagers starting in the spring. We're really looking forward.
Great.
That would be great.
We attended many community events this year, the Kitty Games, the Nautical Festival, Project Connects, helping to provide resources for the community, all the art walks, and at each of these events, trying to offer free activities and crafts for kids when they're just kind of tagging along with I'm also making an effort to get teens more involved in leadership opportunities. I just recently recruited 2 high schoolers to join our advisory council team. And one of them was elected into an official position to try to get them some background in a more formal setting. And finally, I'm excited to share that I will be implementing 2 new programs in the schools very soon. One is an aftercare enrichment program where I'll be offering some science lessons so that rather than just hanging out waiting for parents to pick them up, they're getting actively involved and have their brains still working a little bit. And the next one, which I'm particularly excited about, is called 4-H Health Rocks, and it is a substance abuse program or prevention program for smoking, vaping, drinking drugs. I recently just learned that DARE is no longer offered in our area, and I was really shocked by that. So I think this will be a really great program to kind of take place of that DARE and discuss this really important topic with you. So I'll be in the classroom with mainly middle school students. So in summary, we had, I feel, a very diverse list of things for kids to take part in this year. I hope to continue to grow on that. It was really difficult to pick pictures to go into the annual report because we just had so many experiences I wanted to share with you all today, but I appreciate your time and letting me share what I could.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Excellent job. Thank you.
Yes, very good.
And I,
I had a question though, the babysitting classes, is that new-ish?
Yes, new this year.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so it's 4 days, it's 2 hours a day. They come after school and they get, I mean, it's the business of babysitting, creating, marketing materials to how to hold a baby. And then of course the CPR and first aid.
Yeah, those are really important. I think so. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job. Thanks.
Thank you.
and we went a little longer than we planned, so I'm gonna be quiet. I will answer any questions. So I was gonna give you an ag update, but
Go ahead. Go ahead. We need some update.
okay. Well, ag programming coming up. In December, again, we're doing a big program at Alpena Community College. This is gonna be for pesticide review and people that want to sit for the test. So people, in order to keep, almost every ag grower has a pesticide license and they need to either get continuing ag credits to keep it, or new people need to study for the test and then take the test. So that's what this class is for. Either people that want to keep their license, they can go there, sit through the review, and they get continuing education credits. Or new people can sit through the training and then take at Alpena College, they can sit and
What day is that?
it's December, I think it's December 11th, but I will confirm that.
At the college.
Well, we're also doing in February.
Is it
a,
Zoom too? Is that Zoom
No.
as well or no?
That one's not gonna be Zoom, it'll be in person. In February, we're also doing a research review program at Alpena Community College where we'll draw from all over the place. And the other big ag update I wanted to give you is I'm talking to you last year about a position that we've been working on for a very long
I
time.
was gonna ask you about.
And yesterday, I had an accepted offer, so
Good.
I can't give you the name yet because, they're not fully through the hiring process and just in case,
Yeah,
if they don't
what
pass the
happened?
background check or something, I'm not gonna give their name yet. However, we have a very good person and, they're gonna be doing half ag and half other MSU programs. But they're gonna be doing very similar to what I did in this room last year with our growers. Hosting remote ag classes. So we were a remote location for the research review that was done all over the state. Some places were like us, where we had people here in this room watching online. Other places had people. So there were a bunch of places around the state all viewing the same data, the same presenters at the same time. Well, that's what this person's gonna be doing every
Will the
day.
person be located in Rogers City?
Yes. Uh,
And serving just Roger, Presque or multiple counties?
multiple counties.
Yeah,
But that's no different than.
That's no
What
different.
before, right?
Yeah,
right.
they'll be covering the entire district, and they'll be, you're not probably, if everything works out the way I envision it, you're not gonna see them in the office very often because every day they'll be doing programming around the
Is it a
community.
recent graduate?
What's that?
Recent graduate.
I don't know how, fairly recent, yes.
So they're gonna be doing test plots again.
They may help,
Northern
they
Michigan.
may help the research team. We do have plots in Hillman and those are gonna continue to be going. They're not gonna spend as much time in the field though. They're mostly gonna be teaching.
Oh,
And I think that's better anyway.
Well, for this type of position, yes. The plots still happen though, because we still have them going. We just don't have, this won't be the person that's out.
It's kind of
working on the
handy
plot.
to have in the field though. I mean.
well, he-
Ellsworth's picking up all the agronomy. work.
Right, he's gonna be available now.
Well, that's been a long
So
time
as soon
coming.
as he gets
Thank
a
you.
call,
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as they get the call, they can be there, so it's not,
See.
not a question of calling Lansing.
Does he have a degree in agronomy?
This one, it's not in agronomy, it's, I can't remember, actually, we just did all the interviews and I saw all the different resumes and I can't remember what this one ended up with, but they do have a master's degree.
So you had more than one.
Oh, yeah, we had
That's
a
good.
very robust pool, so,
Good.
which was good,
Yeah,
so.
nice change.
Yeah, yeah. Any other questions for me?
No, very good
That
presentation.
was
from
the one I was
everybody.
Thanks.
gonna ask.
Yeah,
Thanks,
All
team.
thanks. team.
Thank you.
Thanks, thanks. Good work, all. Horseman report, Dave. At long last.
Morning.
You sit here so long, the numbers are gonna change.
I'd like to present the 2024 portion report. This report includes 2024 certified taxable values, millage rates, and estimated taxes for each jurisdiction. Page 1 is the report is county, township, and state education amounts. Page 2 is the library, fire, and ambulance. Page 3 is the schools. Page 4 is college, and intermediate schools. Page 5 has the total mill for each township and school district, homestead and non-homestead. And page 6 is that any special assessments that any township has. And page 7 has the county millage rates, taxable value, and tax dollars. The taxable value for the county is 893,565,555. That's up 8.35% from last year. The estimated tax dollars for the county was 5,097,000.
Slow down, where does that say 8 point whatever, is that on a page?
no,
Second
not a page.
from the last page.
Yep.
Right
The
there.
increases
Yep.
are on the page. This is just.
Okay, I'm not seeing it.
That's a portion of villages.
Yeah, that's.
Come on over here and show me what you're talking about. Put your finger on it.
I got it right here. That's the figure right here. 800 some million.
Right.
No, that's not what I was
Oh,
asking.
okay.
He's looking for
Does it say the
taxable.
percentage increase?
No, he doesn't.
Not
No,
on
he
that
doesn't
report,
have
it does not. That goes to the state, doesn't have the percentage increase on it.
But you just said it. That's very important to me. It's not printed anywhere here.
Not on that report, no, but I can get you that if you want me to.
What is the figure? 8 point?
The tax bill value was 8.35%
Increase.
increase, yep. And then the actual taxes was up 7.8% from last year,
8 what?
7.8%.
Most of that taxable values because of uncapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
On campaign,
property sold uncapped.
and it was at 5% too, that.
In future, could you put that in your report?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Because last year we didn't have it in there anywhere and we wrote, writing,
Percentage of
scribbling
increase,
notes.
Yeah, I can put an extra page
Yep.
on there for you.
Can you tell we're in mediation over,
Yeah,
just,
yep,
that's an issue that comes up.
right, okay, yep, I can do that for you, no problem. And we did have a heavy rollback this year of 0.9949 for the county, so they brought the county really just down a little bit. And some of the townships and,
That only happens every 4 years?
no, it depends on how much taxable value goes up, and it's a
Oh, okay.
calculation that they use between.
So what we worked out last year that really helped during negotiations to
Right.
let our employees know where the money's coming
Right,
from.
and the rollbacks that have an effect on. it.
Yeah, you started with the increase in value
Right,
and you took off the rollback and you took off the veterans and you took off the homestead.
right,
So that's the thing. In fact, if you could put that together, I'd like to see that because here's what's come in and it sounds great, but you gotta take all this other, so here's what's left.
Yeah,
So if you could provide that, that would be really helpful.
yeah,
In something other than scribbled notes,
right,
right?
okay, yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
And they get no factors either.
What's that?
No factors either.
No taxes.
No.
No. And then the millage rates for the senior transportation, the resource officer that passed in August, they went back to their pre-Headley villages. So they're back to what they were. They didn't
Okay.
get rolled back. And then the recycling, the millage rate was 1.989, which brings $177,531. The seniors was 0.7431, which brings in $663,265. And the senior transportation went back up to 2.25, and that's at 223,141. And the resource officer is at 0.33, and it's at 294,546. And there's the Metz Township has 1 mil per road on the November ballot, and it's for 2025, it's not for this year. So that's it. Any other questions?
No.
No, I'll get that,
Just send it by email to all the commissioners. It'd be real helpful.
Okay, sure,
We need it for personnel, quick.
okay, okay. I'll put
Like
it,
Monday.
Right.
I can put last year's tax bill and,
Yes, that'd be good.
okay, yep,
And we had it scribbled during the negotiations, but this is the update. And,
right, this is what
I think we started last year with an increase of 16%, but we had to take all that stuff out. So, the
Yeah,
rate of property value increase is slowing, but it's still significant.
right.
You can't blame an employee for saying, look at all this extra money you're getting, but we want to be able to explain why it's not as big as it looks.
Right. Okay, I'll work on it.
Yeah, great.
Motion to receive and file.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Support.
They're my things falling off the wall.
Oh, that's a picture. That
I
was
just
it.
put them up, yeah. I gotta try a different tape. I was trying to.
Motion and support to accept the equalization.
Support.
Report. Any more discussion? All in favor?
I did.
Aye.
Motion carried. Renewable energy grant acceptance. Hooray.
Yes, I
Thank
got the
you.
email on that
Thank
one.
you, Mary Ann.
Yep.
And,
There you go.
Yeah,
Mary Ann and Anne Marie.
yeah,
yeah.
Put them
Yeah.
together, you get
Just-
Ann Marie, Ann.
Where's it at?
I didn't print another copy. I sent it via email.
Well, I got it
I
through
got it.
email.
you know, I looked over the paperwork and it's interesting to me because it's all there except the proposed use plan. And I know we submitted it and they reviewed it, but it's not actually printed in the paperwork.
Yeah, maybe. it's-
For us or for? just
No, for the part of the grant is what she's
Oh.
saying.
Yeah, because we
Agreed.
proposed to use that for the courthouse improvements.
Right,
And we submitted that plan, it was approved, but it's not part of the grant agreement that we're signing. It refers to the appendix. The appendix doesn't say that,
what it is and.
but you know, I'm not gonna fight with the state, you know, we
Right.
just sign the paperwork and get it in. But
Yeah,
anyway,
right, yeah,
It's 100% grant,
exactly.
yeah.
and, but what, in the second line says 375 grant plus match, what are they?
Well, there isn't zero match. See, what these this is frustrating to me too. Because these are the standard grant paperworks and most state grants require a match, but this one does not.
Amount of match, 0.
Yeah.
Right.
But they just use the standard form. So, okay. But, and we get half of it now
Right away.
because the solar is in construction. And we get the other half when it goes into
Spring,
operation.
yeah.
And I believe they think it's going into operation in next year. We'll see.
I thought it was gonna be done the end of this month.
No.
That's just installation.
That's just some of the installation
Right.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna be online. Not this year.
And we have to get, DTE did send us verification of the construction. That was part of the grant that had to go in. So we have to get verification from them when they actually go into operation. So it wasn't us saying it, it's DTE saying it, but
Confirmation that it's.
you know, it's supposed to be sometime during 25, I suspect toward the end. Anyway, if we send this paperwork in, they send us a check. And what we agreed to as a group was to use it for the courthouse. And, yeah,
And that's an allowed use.
but by the way, where the heck is that?
I'll report on that.
Okay. So
We need
I
a
would make a motion,
Motion to accept the grant.
To accept the grant and authorize me, because I thought it was an online thing, but I think but it
It's
just,
electronic.
so it's not after I
it's not.
got it,
No.
but I have. to sign
because
a
she's
blue
been,
ink and
the
scan it.
clerk is on there to be the
Yeah, so
contract.
they put my name.
I'll
I
make
thought it
that
was-
motion.
Have support
to
for
accept
that.
the grant.
I support.
Motion support to accept the renewable energy grant and have the clerk sign. Any more discussion?
Yeah, they sent out a press release on this through the Eagle Network, and it said we were among the first 8 communities or whatever, and that
To
includes
receive it.
3 of our communities, because it includes the 2 townships and us.
So Posen got it, and I mean, Plasky and
Pulaski and
Correct.
Belknap.
Belknap, yeah.
So we were, you know, we were like 40% of the total. We were out there on the cutting edge, I guess, is surprisingly enough.
Right,
Well,
Yeah.
there probably wasn't too many other counties that have it going on.
Well, because the thing has to be up and running, and it was very small window
Yeah.
between October of last year and the end of the year, I think. So
I don't think they counted on anybody.
I was
falling in the
what-
window.
what a cynic you are. Yeah,
That's the truth.
well, they gave away,
that thought didn't occur to me too.
they gave away $3.5 million, so
Yeah,
it's not chicken feed.
Oh, it's a bag of shells.
right. Well, we can use it, so that's good.
Yep. Okay, any more? If not, roll. We need roll call.
Yes, please. We're at Darga.
Yes,
Papa,
Yeah,
Laney,
Yes.
Heidemann.
Yes.
motion carries. Thank you. Straits. Right,
Regional,
Yeah,
right.
now- now I got-
Memorandum
I
of
got-
understanding.
but I got the email on that, but didn't say what our amount was going to be.
Well, no, because we don't know
No.
until the end of the year when it.
Oh, okay.
The amount ain't gonna be-
I know what, they got the amount, what they're getting for funding.
Right.
The
And then the
reason,
rest
the
is the
reason we
county.
had her send it out at the meeting was so all the entities could review it if they
Yeah.
wanted anything changed, but the language is basically the
All the
same
same.
as last.
Always the same, yep.
Dates
And I think,
dollar
isn't it
amounts.
Onaway the only county community that's really served? Or,
No,
They've come here.
They bring
Come
rides
here.
over
They
here.
bring
Really?
rights here.
We
Okay.
got a small.
We
portion
got small,
compared-
small.
Yeah.
Compared to Emmett County.
Right.
Emmett
Well,
County and Sheboygan.
When it first started though, our activity here was pretty good. But then after a few years, it
it kind of died.
kind
back.
of died off, yeah.
Yeah,
But they'll pick people up here at Glenn's or wherever to go to
Yeah.
a doctor's appointment. or
yeah, and that's
go
the important thing,
shopping.
is to take people to Petoskey.
Yep,
Yeah.
task, yeah.
Mostly to Walmart.
Yep, Walmart.
Yeah, that too.
We don't want to lose the service.
Right.
So can we have a motion?
I'll make the motion for the agreement.
Support.
Okay, motion support to adopt the agreement with Straits Regional Ride.
Right, here, just.
Authorize the chair to sign. Any more discussion? If not, I guess we'll roll call it.
Yeah, because it could.
Yeah,
that
right.
Actually could do money. We are at Chapa,
Yeah,
clean
Yes.
vitamin.
Yes,
Jargon.
Yes,
motion carried.
before we get into this.
Yeah, can we recess? I need to use.
yeah.
2
Yes, we
minute
will.
recess. Okay, number 6 is the zoning administrator hire.
You want me to handle that? I met yesterday with a candidate for what would for us would be a new position. As you know, we've had tremendous problems getting coverage at the building and zoning department. And in discussing with existing staff and candidates that have come in the last, well, over this term, while Mike and I have been on personnel, all of the people we spoken with as candidates about the building inspector position really have a strong preference not to be doing the zoning portion. They don't want to do it. And then frankly, they're not well informed about it. But it's a mandatory procedure before you give a permit to make sure that the use follows our zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
So that has to be the first thing that's looked at,
I
not
can't believe it.
Right.
Set up that way. I would see it.
now.
Separate.
Mr. Gilmet has the technical qualifications and he's been doing it, but he's a contract guy. And I have to admit, I was really against splitting the position, but the more I talk to people at the building of inspector level, the more I could see that, hey,
That wasn't gonna work.
it's not gonna work. And furthermore, during the season, they're overloaded in terms of time. And we cannot have Kathy doing it. It's not her job. Okay, but all the questions come to her and there's nobody there. So we did receive an inquiry from Michelle, what's her last name?
Mater.
And we had a little conversation with her yesterday. And she's on the Rogers City Planning Commission. She doesn't have academic background in zoning per se, but she has a lot of administrative background. Okay. So we discussed a part-time hourly position on an as-need basis. The choice, of course, is to have a contract versus a part-time employee. We strongly encouraged her to consider the part-time employee because of the insurance issues. If they're a part-time employee, we can cover her on the insurance, and this has become a very controversial area with people making legal claims, so, and she's okay with that. So we want to try it, but MSU, too bad they're gone, has an excellent zoning administrator training program. It comes during the slow time of the year, January, February. It's 2 online units in January, and then you do 5 in-person units. I think they're having it at Mount Pleasant over 2 days. And man, when you get out of that, you know what you're doing. The bugaboo is, in order to get registered for that, you have to have completed the MSU Citizen Planner Program. So that is available all online, and she's very good with online classes. And that would start immediately. It takes about 15 hours minimum to get through the online. So we propose that we pay for the course cost and her time to do the online and take the zoning administrator. So she'd be ready to rock in February.
So the MSU plan would be better than anything that MAC would offer.
Well, MAC doesn't offer a zoning
No.
administrator,
Really?
but in my opinion, yes. In my opinion, yes.
Well, as long as she takes,
So we want to hire her on the conditions that she take these classes for which the county would pay. By the way, while we haven't had people there, we've developed a little budget surplus, so we have the money in the account.
as an employer, as an employee.
Yeah.
not As a contractor.
Yeah,
Because then she'd be coming under our property liability.
right.
And that's
Right.
important, because she doesn't want to have to do that.
Well, we got into that big mess with
Oh,
the
oh.
conservation
Yep.
district. We don't want to go there.
I think
No.
it's a great idea because I said all along, as soon as I've got on this board, that I don't know why those EA is combined with the building and zoning guy. You should have a separate enforcement
Yeah.
officer.
So I've come around to your opinion, but yeah. I've
Because then you
learned-
don't have the conflict then,
Yeah,
you know,
and she would attend the planning commission meetings
Yeah.
because
and that's
the
important.
planning commission doesn't have anything to do with reviewing building permits,
Right.
but they
No.
do on the zoning, so
Right.
she.
But she'll
right.
she'll have to study the ordinance and know.
E-
the rules. And she always
exactly.
references it before she
Exactly.
finds a violation.
Exactly. And I do believe it's gonna make it much easier to hire a building
Sure,
inspector
yeah.
long-term.
And nobody wants to
Right,
enforce.
right. So that's the idea. And of course, the hiring has to be approved here. And we've worked out an acceptable wage, I believe $22 an hour. And just done on an as-need basis. And she's, I think, going to really be a good employee. Now, you never know.
What's her last name? Mayor?
Mater.
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 I think it's Mater, Mader.
Yeah, either made or matter.
And she came to us on a referral basis, because she is acquainted with Tony, who's covering our building inspector.
From
So,
Atlanta there.
yeah,
Yeah, from Mount Morenci.
yeah. And she lives in Rogers City, and like I said, she's on the Rogers City Planning Commission. That's not a conflict, because our ordinance
That's
does
our
not
diff-
cover Rogers City. So that's,
I would make
So-
a motion to hire.
Well,
I'll second that.
the motion for to hire
for the
Michelle.
22 an hour.
Matter, mater, yep.
It says Shelley. I don't know if her real name is Michelle, so
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
say Shelley.
yeah, and she goes by Shelley, yep.
Okay,
My boards keep falling off the walls.
As our zoning administrator on a part-time basis, would she be starting now then?
No, she would start after the class.
Immediately,
Well-
well, she should be an employee taking the class.
Yeah, okay,
So that,
Yep, it'd be-
so she'd start right away.
yep.
And
what
the first
kind of
job would
hours-
be,
What kind of hours then?
Part-time, so anything less than 30, but as needed.
yes,
And some
and
might be
so
less sometimes.
I think often it'll be less
Yeah.
until the season
Buildings.
heats up.
So who's gonna supervise the hours?
The board does.
Mhm.
Well, and then eventually the,
Personnel committee?
or the building administrator,
Yes, when we get a building official,
officially.
that
Well,
person will be
okay.
supervised.
In the meantime, it's.
Well, we have a
personnel
building
committee
official
kind
now, it's just a contract position.
of- Oh, okay, so it'd be him
Well,
or the personnel
Uh,
committee.
all of the above, I also offered myself as a person she can come to with questions about the technical issues of zoning and planning,
Good, thank
for
you.
which she would be responsible. You can talk supervisory all day, she's going to go over and Wendy's not here. She can also help on the backlog that Kathy is facing, and she's actually anxious to do that.
Yeah.
So when I say her first thing would be to get through the class, that's correct, but right away she could help Kathy
With
with the
Filing.
filing
the fire.
and organizing
Should be
the
able
office.
30 hours a week every week, I'm sure.
Well,
No, that's not,
Well, right now it's to start, but once it gets caught up, the only time she'll have that during the summer when it's a
Yeah.
busy season.
right,
During the winter, there's very, very little
the
activity.
office is still playing catch up from the construction
Yeah.
season, and there's drawings everywhere and files everywhere and all of that, so.
but
That-
there is.
she'll be able to
enforcing
help
the
with that.
ordinance too, even in the
Correct.
winter time.
Oh, yes,
If somebody's doing something that's
out of the, yeah,
not allowed in that district.
So
she's-
Wendy is helping Kathy now. Wendy from Extension, helping scan some documents and get them into the computer. But through time, this person would do that, because
Yeah.
Wendy doesn't need the hours, she's
right.
just doing it as a
She offered
helper.
to help.
So we might have a much better organized office.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully.
That's the
We
hope.
certainly need that. so
Yes.
Good work, thank you.
Well,
All
thank you,
right, any
Anne Marie.
more discussion? Not, I guess we'll need a roll call.
Yes. Tolini,
Yes.
Vitamin.
Yes,
Darga.
yes.
Chapa.
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, we're down to committee report.
I have nothing to report. We'll have our mediation Monday, 28th. I don't know what time that was,
10 a.m.
10 a.m. Okay, I gotta wait for that. And then we'll schedule finance for the 12th at 9 o'clock. On November 12th.
so courthouse and grounds is gonna talk about the HVAC or Anne Marie is?
I am.
Okay, that's fine.
I think that's all we have on
Pretty
committee.
well,
We gotta go
yeah.
to special appointments.
Probably covered personnel.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else? Special appointment committee report?
Well, I attended Northern Michigan counties by Zoom. They got an update from the Association of Counties on the status of some legislation that could potentially affect us. There are 3 bills still roaming around for the lame duck session, and one is on short-term rentals. And the other is on septic system regulation, and the third is sand and gravel mines. And all 3 of those would threaten to take away a certain amount of local authority. None of them have been killed, and Mac was unable to say if and when that might come up again before the end of the legislative session. So that's kind of out there like a sword over your head.
Are they still in committee then? All those bills?
They had, I'm not too good with the status of it, but
Yeah, okay.
they could be reported out and they could be acted on this session.
Yeah.
Whether they will be is another story. And as you know, those have been quite controversial.
Right.
On the septic system, the current draft of that has changed quite a bit from what was initially submitted. If you recall, the initial submittal was everybody get inspected once every 5 years. for which there is not staff anywhere in the state to carry that out. So now they're backing off to a 10-year, and furthermore, the priority would be systems within 500 feet of a lake or stream. Now, that makes more sense. Whether that can be done,
Well, and I've said right along, they're gonna implement it when they want. They're bouncing this stuff around just.
I
making
never heard
excuses.
any of that
No.
at the health board meeting when he talked about, he didn't say anything about 10 years, did he?
well, that was,
I think I think that, I heard that somewhere.
Well,
I think.
Earlier in the year when I attended the last
Well,
meeting, I was
this-
at,
this
we
is
had talked about that.
conveyed to Northern Michigan County reps from
Yeah.
Michigan Association of Counties.
Well, you don't have personnel, so you
Right.
couldn't do it. It's, 10
Yeah,
We
years
can't
is a problem.
locally enforce that, and if they don't have the manpower to enforce it, it's not gonna happen.
Well,
Well,
there are
it-
counties that already have those ordinances.
Well, many,
Yes, there are,
Well-
because our medical director said so.
There's nothing up in northern
Leelanau is
Michigan.
one of them, yeah. Leelanau is one of them.
okay, time out.
All right.
Leelanau has what's called a point of sale.
Right,
So they are inspected
When they sell.
before the property
hands.
passes
Yes.
hands.
Okay,
And quite a few counties have that, and that's more manageable.
right,
yes.
right.
And Leelanau reported, because they spoke to this issue when this was in discussion,
Uh-huh.
over time, they've had this for quite a few years. And they've reduced their rate of septic system failure significantly.
Hmm.
And the advantage, of course, is when property changes hands, there's money on the table. So if a system needs to be fixed before it's sold, there's money at risk, or, there's funds available to do it.
Yeah, it's just like a building inspection.
Yes,
Yeah,
And to me,
but
it's money wise to
the
have
state
that.
legislation doesn't include point of sale.
no, that has
And
nothing,
furthermore,
right,
the state legislation removes the authority of localities to adopt point of sale. So that,
That's
to
like
me,
I said,
doesn't
That's
make
because
any
the state-
sense.
Right.
That's because the state
So,
typically excluded all local input.
exactly,
right. They
exactly.
mandate, but don't wanna do anything about it.
Yep.
That's right.
So John will report on the annual meeting for NEMCOG, but also before we left, the main part of the Northern Michigan counties was a presentation. This doesn't affect us directly, by Consumers Power, who owns 13 hydroelectric dams on 3 different river systems, not ours. Who's got them up, they've got it out for bids to sell them. Because in 2 years, they have to either relicense or sell them.
And then repair them if needed.
If the licensing's gonna require repair. So the local communities that might lose their impoundment, which means losing all their waterfront property, are extremely concerned about this. So I just state that to say our neighboring counties are really having an issue. And we know when a dam is sold, I think of the Alverno Dam situation, which we are involved in, repair issues become major. And so Consumers has to find an entity that would have the financial capability and the managerial capability to keep these up and running.
Right.
It's
Now they put it-
probably
they-
not even close to foreign investors either.
They put them all together as a 13 dam package. And now finally they're coming around to say, well, maybe we should split that into the different river systems.
Yeah.
So I know. So that's a long-term thing, but it's really, I can see a real kick in the butt for the localities that depend on those impoundments for their recreational facilities.
And Black River could be one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be, but it's not. I mean, it's not
Not right now.
well,
It's not consumers.
yeah, it's not
No, it's
consumers,
owned
but the
by,
issues are the same.
Yeah,
like-
right, yeah.
The Canadians own it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So other than NEMCOG that our chair will report on, that's all I have.
Oh, wait a minute, you're the member, wasn't
Well, do you want me to do it?
you? Yeah.
Okay, John and I attended the
I can fill in.
annual meeting of the Northeast Michigan Council of Governments. There was quite a coup to get the head of MEDC
Yeah,
at the facility. This was held at the Garland Golf Club, quite a nice lunch. So the guy from MEDC, not only he came, but his staff came and they introduced the staff and did a presentation on the kinds of things that MEDC can help us with. Now, most of that goes through our own EDC and or for example, the Main Street program at Rogers City. But it was really, nice to have the head
Them
dude
come up here, yeah.
come up.
Right, yeah.
and talk to us, and a number of us, talked, made a connection, you might say. And the program also reviewed all of the current NEMCOG projects and services available, which are substantial. Of course, do they have enough staff to do all the work that's out there? That's a question always. I don't know,
They
John.
hired a couple people. Denise's kids.
Oh, yeah. Well, they have one staff person out on maternity leave and another staff person left, and that's a vacancy, so. But with any agency, that's always an issue, and it's an issue for us,
Yeah,
getting people.
I think that's pretty well covered.
Okay.
Actually. Thank you.
Oh, Commissioner.
Other questions?
Straits area. It was a pretty quick meeting. Just a report on the financial end. The last quarter, they lost $35,000.
Because of no participation?
No, they participate. It's just that thing never does one. They're talking about raising the rate.
Oh, okay.
If it wasn't for the state, the DOT grants and that.
They wouldn't make it. You're correct. Yeah.
Well,
Well, without the state support, we couldn't have that.
No.
I found out something too at that meeting, the buses they buy, the state buys those buses and pays for them. And then they pretty much tell you what you have to do with them, because they gave away 2 newer buses to Alpena, right?
Okay. Thunder Bay?
So I guess they don't, in essence, I said, we don't even own the buses then. The state pays for them, and when they tell you you gotta give them somewhere, you give them, they didn't want to give away their newest buses,
Right.
you know? But that's
Huh.
the way it works, I guess. And it was a real quick meeting. The only thing that came up was the memorandum, well, they call it a letter.
Letter of understanding. Yeah.
She was ready to try to get the board to act on it. And we said, oh, it's got to go back. People might want to change something. So that was basically at the bat. You want to do the health board?
You can start if you want. Yeah.
You can do that. I'll do the motion.
Okay, all right.
Right.
They have they closed the office, I don't know what date it was, for staff training and each party kind of thing, so we allocate $1,500 for that, and that's in each of the offices, which I think is a good thing for morale, etc.
Transfer of funds went well.
Right. And they did complete their fiscal year, so now it's in sync with the state.
Yeah.
October 1st to September 30th. They're gonna hire a new, proposing to hire another sanitarian for Alpine or Sheboygan County. Just a lot of work there.
They need that extra one there, yeah.
Right, so that's out there.
Now, is that also gonna be a floater for the other 2 counties, Montmorency and here, in case we do need it? That was brought up once before.
Yeah,
I
I think they do that anyway, even currently.
Cover.
Yeah,
Backup.
right, yeah,
Yep.
they do back each other up, stuff, but, cause for a while, we didn't have one in Montmorency, so. So the rest of them covered it, but part of, we got Mackinac City with all those hotels and restaurants, and so that's part of Sheboygan.
Actually, they need more than another guy,
Yeah.
really.
And then they're going to, they posted a nurse.
Yes, that was the FERN.
Hillman.
Yeah, for Hillman. Yep. That
They've
come
had a
across.
problem, they hired somebody and then
They backed
they
up.
left, and there were two hires, I think, or one that maybe make it to the position, but anyway, so they're advertising for that again.
I think the hire that the one that just left, we hired earlier this year.
Yeah, we did.
To help for it, yeah, 'cause we were at that meeting, remember?
Yeah.
And when she introduced herself,
I was surprised, the starting wage isn't as low as I thought it was. I mean, it's not what nurses make, but it's $57,000
yeah, 50-some thousand.
Plus pennies.
plus benefits.
So you're
It's
up
not
to-
really bad, really.
Right, yeah, but it's not what the hospitals pay. Or
Yeah.
They always
Yeah,
say,
they're
you
making
don't have
70.
to deal with the blood and guts.
Yeah, they're making 75, 80 grand.
Um, Community connection referrals. And then they're working with the schools to, call the Catch My Breath to work against, vaping program in the schools, kind of, I guess, what,
That
I
oral
don't know
health,
if that's in coordination with what Kelly's doing or not.
that oral health, girl there too, the new girl, she secured a grant for a van for 60,000.
Oh, right, yeah.
So she's got a van that go to the schools.
Okay.
For the oral health
Right,
screenings.
and that seems to be going well. They also work with the dentist to try to, get
Yeah.
people set up, because there's a shortage there too. They're doing more training for malware, and phishing for the employees. This is by the IT supervisor. We're supposed to get a generator in Roger City for the office sometime. They thought they had one for Montmorency, and then it just disappeared. I guess they got a quote, but
Okay,
that's as far
cool.
as it went.
Guy couldn't wait 5 minutes, eh?
I don't know what it was, but anyway, okay, yeah, the dental van is $54,400.
The only other thing I can add to that is, as far as the legislation on septic tanks, Kevin said that there was a 19-seat advisory board, and he said Northern Michigan's only got 3 seats on the board.
Yeah, not surprising.
Well,
That and,
population,
the amount, the money that the health department money is funds are transferred into our own account. We don't go through Alpena anymore. It was 1.7 million transferred.
and they got a 5% increase for rural travel for the dental program. We're looking at 5% or 4% raises in 25. And 75% of their budget is personnel.
Right, and that's the contract we did this year, the committee, that's what they decided on, 4% across the board.
That staff training day is December 13th, so. Well,
I don't know, the generator situation, he said we were out of compliance with the vaccine program because of. lack
well,
of
I think the
generators.
one in Montmorency.
Everything's
but
gonna
we
be
got.
state.
Right, didn't they get the new generator in Mount Morency,
No, they
in Atlanta, and the new
had a
office?
quote for it, and
Oh, wow,
they never,
never
guess-
purchased it, eh?
well, I think with
They were waiting on the
hurricanes
funds
and
to
all this
receive.
other stuff.
They could get more money
The
elsewhere.
supply is
Oh,
not, there's a
Okay.
problem there, so. If you're a seller, it's a good place to be. Oh, and Denise, the administrator, the CEO, is working on succession planning. She's probably gonna be gone in a couple of years, so she's looking to hire a deputy to work 2 days a week to learn the job, which is a good idea. one of her goals, another one of her goals is to be a chief health strategist with communities we serve, advocate for public health funding along with environmental justice. For example, PFAS and social determinants of health with elected officials. So that's us. Among others. I think that's covering it pretty well.
Road commission was a pretty light month. Accounts payable were only 75,000.
Well, it is like,
Wait till next month.
Yeah.
after winter hits.
Well,
Safety award, they agreed to, when the employees are honored for safety.
Right.
To award them $100 safety jacket,
Oh, okay.
where it's actually got the sleeves and
Right.
everything on it, so you can see them. The airport highway, that first patch is done there, the paving, where the curbs were put
Right,
in.
they put the new curbings in and
They finally, they sent a letter, the attorney for the road commission sent a letter to the platted alleys lady. That Penn and Les Burns is the name of the attorney. Up on Bluffs Highway, there's some plotted alleys, and it's not. The road commission, the lawyer researched, it has no legal obligation to maintain those plotted alleys up there. So they drafted and sent a letter to the lady, because she's using it for her driveway, and she's expecting the road commission to
come and plow it,
maintain it.
maintain a road, yeah, gravel it.
Let's see, except the striping is not done on the airport yet, but it will be.
Did they take that just to 451? Or did they go all the way across, just to 451?
The plan is to
Finish it now all the way to 68.
make a truck route.
Yeah, Class A.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that came up too, because, well, we don't have to make it Class A. Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I said be foolish not to.
Not to, because it gets a lot of semi-use.
Well, it would, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Onway Garage got help seasonal Badger from Dawson. They heard Dawson Badger taking his employment testing and paperwork. They did receive a check from DTE for the maintenance we've done in the amount of $10,503 so far. Which they draw out of the money.
That
Right,
on
yeah,
account,
yeah,
that's
they-
good.
Blaze Ryan, the prosecutor, notified Dave that he may be subpoenaed for a case in court between Dwayne Snow and Al Pines.
Oh,
That's still going on.
That's still with that back end of that property?
Well, it's on the section line.
Yes.
His
Yeah.
building's on the. And the guy can't get to his property through the road, the
Correct.
easement
Yeah.
that the road commission has. And that was about it. It was in a short meeting. But every meeting, something comes up like that. I had no idea they're dealing with that many conflicts.
I think, well, it's never been researched, years ago. It just grandfathered in, people thinking, well, it's gonna be that way in 1940, it's gonna be good that way in 2024.
Well, it's just like,
Well-
now, back then, they didn't have driveway permits.
No, that's
Now-
right.
Now they do, they would never.
They
been
probably
allowed
never
to
catch
do
it, yeah,
so.
yeah,
And people would just throw a driveway in.
Yeah. Yeah. yeah.
That's all I had for that road.
Great. I guess we're at. I think everybody's done, we're at Commissioner comment?
I have nothing.
I just want an update on materials management on the HVAC, but I think Anne Marie's gonna do that.
But,
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question.
Okay,
all right. Okay, other government officials, Val, you set,
Vicky's back then.
Vicky?
Okay, just wanted to share some information. I recently attended the UCOA conference in Traverse City, and that's United County Officers Association. Anne Marie was in attendance as well. It's registers, clerks, treasurers, and surveyors that attend. We had a presenter, Dan Bordeaux from the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority. Talked about cybersecurity challenges and opportunities for local government, very informative. And Emily, I think, mentioned something about possibly having training for the county employees, which I thought was a good idea. Something else to keep in mind, if you do have older equipment, it is more prone to risk, which is something I need to consider for my office, being my computers are from 2018, so I'm gonna have to start upgrading those. He also presented on AI and the challenges involved with getting started on that, including being able to provide predictable outcomes. If you're going to start a project, you recommend starting small. There are some counties in Michigan that are working with it. One example is Isabella County is trying to develop a program that is going to be able to read cursive writing. You know, she's keeping it small. She's only using restrictive covenant documents in her project. And interested in seeing how all that plays out. Talks about the ethical concerns that come with that. It's important that employees realize it's not to replace staff, it's just to make the processes more efficient. So going to keep an eye on that and just see where things go with it. Again, valuable information. Prior to that, I attended the MARD conference. That was the one that was on Mackinac Island. And while I was there, I talked with one of the vendors. I'm always concerned about fraud alert, you know, property protection, things like that. And what we have in place right now is if something is reported, the person is going to be alerted. It's a good start, but I think more has to be done with prevention. So this vendor that I was speaking to has a program called Equity Protect. And it would be something that we could offer to the constituents. There's no cost to the county. They would provide marketing materials. I do have a few questions to get back with him on, but the way it works is it's going to prevent fraud from happening in the first place. And the way that they would do that is they would encourage most people to go through a title agency, which is something that we do when we have customers come to the counter. And you're going to file a lien on your property. It's a UCC statement, which we file all the time for any company that has a large mortgage out in, say it's a farmer, and you've got equipment that goes along with it. So they'll file a UCC, which kind of creates another lien on the property. So if that lien is out there and somebody comes along and tries to sell your property, they are not going to get clear title until you release that lien from your property. So I think that's a good start. I do have some questions about what happens if I file a lien on my property and something happens to me. Who can release that lien? So that's something I think needs to be talked about. I haven't had that opportunity yet. There is a program, other programs in place that he talked about and the prices of those programs. If we partner with Equity Protect, which is through CSI, we could offer that to the constituents at a reduced rate of $149 a year. And after the second year, it drops down to $99. So it is something that I want to keep on my radar, and I just wanted to share that information with you.
That, cheaper than that title lock.
Yes, I think he told me the price on that was $249 a year.
$249 for title lock. What's, another question to ask maybe would be, what about if you file a lien on your property? What about when you go to borrow, you know?
There are ways that you can unlock that information, because when you sign up for the program, there's information that you have to provide.
So you can unlock to the lender.
Yes,
Well, that's
yes.
good.
Yeah.
That, I've been concerned about that because I've been seeing a lot of, not just on television, but reading a lot of people losing their property. I mean, people come in and they just sell your property.
Yep.
Right, and it is a big concern in this area because you have the people who live here part-time. And if they're in Florida, there's activity at their property, they're not gonna know it because they're not here
Yeah,
to see it.
exactly.
You know, so I think we have a lot of vulnerabilities in the county.
A ton of it.
Yeah.
I mean, agriculture alone, you know, so you got a couple thousand acres or even 500 acres, you know,
Sure.
it's
So,
not secure.
No.
I don't know how they do that, how they can go in there and do that.
do what?
Sell your
Sell your
property.
Come in and file a quick claim deed. We don't review the chain of title to know who the owners are. We're not,
That's
that's not
true.
part of our duties.
That's true.
And as long as the document meets recording requirements, we are required to take it.
Just like if I'm buying a piece, or anyone's buying a piece of property, you're having your attorney review do a title search and make sure it's clear. Or that they even
Not all
own
of them do. Not all of them do. You go to an attorney, they look at the last deed of record and they go from there.
it. Really, they don't even do a thorough search.
Yeah.
That ain't no good.
You see it over and over. I just had something come through yesterday. There was
So
never a.
could
deed
you, from
confirmed.
time to time, let us know if that's actually happened to our property people? I mean, we're talking about a risk and a vulnerability. Could you let us know as these things pop up? If you know about them or hear about
I'm
them?
not aware of any at this point, but if it's gone through the sheriff's department, I would have no way of knowing.
So we should maybe ask the sheriff that question.
Right. Yes,
Okay,
because it
That
would
would
go
be a
through the
big-
prosecutor and the sheriff's
Yeah.
department. They would do the investigating.
They
So,
wouldn't contact you for an alert?
we do have alerts on right now.
Okay.
For anything that's recorded. And if something does come up, they would notify me, which I would in turn say, contact the prosecutor.
Okay.
I would
But I
be,
have not had phone calls.
I would be very interested in a program though to offer to people. You know,
because I'm aware that a lot has occurred, but I'm not aware that it's occurred in our county. I'd just like to
Right.
know if we need to talk to the sheriff, that'd be good.
Right,
if it happens once, it's devastating.
Yep,
Yeah.
once it gets rolling,
It's gone.
yep.
Once it's sold, it's
and it's
sold.
on the landowner to get it back and pay those fees to get their property back.
Or you go, you get a letter from a bank that, you know, hey, we borrowed $250,000 against your property, if we want to pay it.
Right, and with this program, they will help you get your property back.
Yeah,
If
I'd be
that does
really
happen.
interested in offering that to people.
I think it's a good idea as well.
I was gonna check into that title lot, but I didn't know where to go.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Anne Marie.
Okay. Let's see. Last time I reported that we had done these letters and I had gotten some out to defendants or parties that owe the
Mhm.
court's money.
Mhm.
So as of 2 weeks into the program, there was a total of 638 letters sent out.
Oh,
Of those, some of those were returned, obviously, for bad addresses and stuff like that. Some are in prison, so then Jerry is working on sending the prison orders to collect that money. We had 19 of those cases closed off by the people paying in full what they owed.
Hmm.
We collected $3,850.
But we're able to close a bunch of
How
accounts.
much?
Yeah,
Nice.
or 3,850, like, that was as of this morning. 3,851
Wow.
is the exact dollar amount. He's tracking every case as the payments. We have 50 of them beyond that are on payment plans. The amounts could range small, but at least it's something.
Oh, you're getting it.
50 of them on payment plans. So just wanted to give you an update on those statistics. As everybody hopefully knows, early voting starts tomorrow around the state. Actually, some places downstate may have started earlier, they can. But in our county, we have 7 sites. They're posted. I have the postings around here on our website, in the newspaper, through libraries, I
Yeah,
shared.
they're in the newspaper too.
Yeah, I shared it with the libraries too, which they've been great about putting it out in there, you know, because that's a common place where people go. So I hope people do take advantage of that. Again, I know I still never did get where we did in August, but I know we were higher than our surrounding counties. So I do encourage people to take advantage of that. The canvas after the election will be November 7th. That's when it'll start. We won't know if we can finish it that day or not, obviously, so I can't answer if that'll be done, but that's the date of the canvas. As far, upcoming things with the courthouse, we're closed Veterans Day, which is Monday, the 10th. Monday, the 11th.
11.
Sorry, I knew the date was wrong in my head. Just want to make people aware of that. And to piggyback a little bit off of the UCOA conference that I did attend as well. One of the other things that came up was accessibility for our website, which we are compliant with, actually. We've been for a while. It was surprising to find out how some other counties that are actually larger than us that have in-house IT that are not compliant yet. And so I've been also in communication with our webmaster. There's just some things the person suggested or said will be coming, changes that have to be done by 2026. So she was already like, okay, where did you get the information? Who can I contact and stuff like that? So she does great about that, about keeping us compliant. So I know people think, well, just throw this up there on your website. It's not that easy. She has to go through and make every document, every typed word, every picture accessible to an individual that may not be able to read or see, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it's not just a website you can create, you know, as a government entity, we do have to make sure that's being done, and we are ahead of the game at least. She is also going to work with me for election night. This is gonna be a trial run to actually post the results as they come in per precinct
On
We-
the website?
on our website. So this is new.
Wow.
I've
New
had
and good, I
opportunities to
think.
buy software from vendors in the past. I refuse to spend $3,000 for annual support on something that's used only a couple times. So, again, this, you know, patience, if it doesn't work right away, you know, it's a trial run.
Sure,
So, but that's something we're going to try.
good, that's a good idea.
And she's, you know, I said, I'm willing to pay extra for this, for her services that night, but she's like, we'll just do it. But I'm willing to pay.
Keep you from getting a lot of phone calls.
It does not.
No, because I will call you anyway.
But we did implement many years ago, well, when I took over, that we do not sit on the phone at night after 8 o'clock. If someone says, can you tell me the results of this township if we got it? No. My staff does not have time for that.
But the courthouse is
The
open.
courthouse is
people can
open.
come.
We post the results as we get them. The people can also be at the polling locations if they truly want to see it after,
Yeah, there's no time for it.
yeah.
They're busy enough to begin with.
Yeah, no, my staff has, and I,
I
honestly,
get
I
that
used to have to
totally.
do
Yeah.
that when I worked in the office, and it's like, it didn't make sense to me.
No,
At the end of the night, anybody, we have individuals, we have newspapers and media, we have a group email that we create. And we send it all out as soon as the cumulative's in. And then they have it for the, whatever their newscasts or paper.
And you can watch it on the TV in the morning.
Yeah. So we do always do that too. When they say, well, what are they gonna be in? No. You know, they have early closings or early voting now to close out. So sometimes they do take a little, just because the polls end at 8 does not mean everybody's
Yeah.
here at 8. They have to close out. They have to drive here.
Takes 3 hours.
Hopefully we know
we
by the
say-
next day.
9 o'clock is the earliest
Yeah.
generally. And we've been lucky with midnight, but we never give a time. Because we can't predict if there's gonna be an issue. And then now going to the other things that you were really looking for.
HVAC and materials management.
So on the HVAC, the project package has been created. He has sent it over to us. Mike and I are actually gonna have a phone call Zoom meeting with James and the engineer Mark before we present it to the board, only because Mike has questions that we'd like to get knocked out so that if he has to change something beforehand, and that is Tuesday morning, Tuesday at 11:30, we're gonna do. So then,
Mike Tuck,
yes.
Yeah,
The maintenance
great.
supervisor, yeah. Like I said, and then once we know our questions and
Yes.
his questions, which
Yes.
more his than mine, are all buttoned up as best he can see, then we're gonna do a workshop for the full board to present. So then it would be ready to approve for putting out for bids.
The
is,
architect
is it
review-
correct that we have,
Not Tuesday, he won't be, but.
designated our ARPA funds? I thought we had.
You have, it's just a report that has to go online.
Yeah.
And the treasurer's office.
But we don't have to
actually
make any
takes-
decisions. We decided already.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine.
And truthfully, our auditor actually does the report for us. They,
Yeah.
they work directly with the treasurer's office.
Yeah.
To take care of that. She just wanted to present it to you as a board. Because we already have the agreement, but you have to, as the board, actually saying so. Be
Yeah.
aware of it. That's why she
Okay.
wanted to bring it forward.
Which
So-
meeting did we decide on? Do you remember?
Earlier this year.
Oh my God, that's been a couple years.
Yeah, it's been.
I mean, when this money was.
No,
when we
no.
got
But
it-
when we decided to put it in the HVAC was earlier this year.
Oh, I'd have to look at.
Yeah,
the
I think it's
exact
like
date
in
because
April.
It was,
April?
I think.
it's been flowing back and
It's
forth
been-
for a couple
been-
years on
yeah.
what it.
Well, the price kept going up.
Yep.
And the
took more and more of the
changes,
money.
and we changed architects and all these
Right.
things that occurred, yeah, so it was either late last year, it may have, or early this year, I can't. The second thing on the MMP, I have reached out to Nico several times. We have been in conversation, I reported last time that they haven't given us the templates yet, but I just saw something that says they have some programs, some stuff available now. But I have not heard if they changed that date, and he hasn't given me dates he's available to come do this meeting. So I'm at a,
Yeah,
You know, my time
I'll
is getting-
email him and ask him.
I did again this
Okay.
morning, like, hey, where are we? I have to coordinate all these individuals.
Right, we have the
and-
names, but we need an organizational meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
and so if the state is,
I imagine he's doing a bunch of others.
I'm
too.
Oh,
sure
yeah.
he is,
Well,
and
that-
I'm
then
being
he's got a
patient.
The
bunch of,
state's just been behind the 8 ball too.
Well,
got a
That's
bunch of
really
roads.
the problem.
he's got
but-
a bunch of road work involved too with projects.
But like I said, just to get that initial meeting out of the
Right.
way, because these individuals probably sitting out there going. "I heard
Well,
from
and if you
somebody
try to
once."
do it during deer season, good luck.
That's why I'd like to,
But it's nice to have the first meeting in December anyway.
well, I'd like to have one sooner, but I don't want to also have it the week of the elections. You know?
Right.
So,
And then there's deer season and Thanksgiving.
if we could even, who knows, maybe it'll even happen next week, who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know. But I'm just, I am.
Let us know.
okay.
Yeah, I have to notify every individual on the committee, so again, I have not forgotten, it is on my forefront because
Mhm.
I'm just waiting,
Okay,
and I just want it done sooner
Yeah.
rather than later.
And we would have the architect for our workshop, wouldn't we?
For the workshop there,
Yeah.
I'll make
Yeah.
sure.
mhm.
Good.
Um, reported, yeah, everything that was on my list,
Okay,
it was a long list.
thank you. Good work as usual. Okay, correspondence?
Nothing.
Motion for payroll.
Support.
Motion for payroll. Roll.
Okay, we're at item.
Yes,
Start, Chapa,
Yeah,
Leany.
Yes.
motion carried.
Motion to adjourn
are we changing the meeting time or date?
till November 14th, 9:30 AM, sub call the chair.
So we are changing the time.
Yeah.
That'll have to be posted.
Yeah, I do post when those changes.
So we didn't change the date.
No, we
No.
didn't change the date,
No.
just
Okay.
in the morning.
Support.
The motion support to change our next meeting date to November 14th at 9:30 AM. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Adjourned. I guess we should have. Hi, George.